We're going to get on with the program. Today, I have the honor of introducing two ladies that have worked very, very hard for our community the past, I guess, 4, 5, 6 years, behind the scenes in a lot of cases, but has done a great job for this community, and we're very proud of them. It's Monica Mancuso, who is the Executive Director of Excel, and Catherine Holcomb, which is the President of Excel, Sayberry Excel. If you get a moment, go on our website. I'm not going to read their bios. They're very, very good in what they've done in their lifetime, and they should be very proud of themselves, but go on our website because it's there. So I don't want to take away from their time. So let me introduce Catherine Holcomb and Monica Mancuso.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Catherine. We're very pleased to be invited to speak here today. We really appreciate your support. First, I promise that we are not going to cover everything in those booklets at this meeting or any of the handouts. We're going to go through some of it. You can take the rest home for homework. Since we're educators, we figured we'd give you something to take home with you. And then when you come back to the next meeting, we have a quiz. We are here to focus on how we can work together. We've been lucky to hear some of your previous speakers. Former CPRA Director Chip Klein made a special effort to come here and explain significant projects taking place in Baton Rouge and in the state, and then he went back home to Baton Rouge, and then all of you had to head back to work. Nicholls State University President Jay Clune explained what was happening in Thibodaux and at Nicholls, and then he went back to Thibodaux, and then all of you went back to work. And then Jim Donlin came, and then he went home, and then you went back to work. We are here to ask you to work with us and the community to get our house in order so that people don't just come here to visit. We need to give them a reason to stay. On June 14th, almost a month to the day, AIC and CPRA board member Bill Hidalgo Sr. was a witness to the Atchafalaya National Estuarine Research Reserve designation along with the rest of Louisiana and the country. And then Bill came home, and now it's time for all of us to go to work. Are we ready for a national and international spotlight here? Is our house in order? Why has St. Mary Excel been hyper-focused on the designation of the National Estuarine Research Reserve in this area? We hope to explain why and highlight the important projects that you as AIC can help us with. St. Mary Excel organized in 2018 as a nonprofit centered on economic diversification for educational and cultural advancement. As former educators, we were confused by the closing of historic M.D. Shannon School, our most resilient school building. It had housed evacuees during Hurricane Andrew and survived that direct hit pretty much unscathed. Shannon School was a canary in a coal mine. Its death was more than just a school closure. It was an indicator of a declining population and other economic problems that would need more expertise than we had. So we decided that we needed to look to experts, the people who live and work here. Partnering with the Chamber, we used the results of a quality of life survey. We wanted to chart a plan of action. The 340 responses led us to turn back to our community to get its help to host a panel of experts from the Urban Land Institute, outside eyes, to help us see what we often miss. These experts took a deep dive into the data about our area. But more importantly, they came in and interviewed over 100 locals. Some of you in here were among those interviewed. The panel wanted to get a sense of the area so they could recommend effective plans of action. These experts from all over the country immediately recognized the significance of the Atchafalaya River and that it should be our focal point in moving forward. And we've used that report titled Morgan City and Berwick, Louisiana, Building the Foundation for a New Economy Along the Atchafalaya River to guide our work for the past 5 years. The experts left, and we were still here. This study cost our community $135,000. We are former teachers. We have no money. That was a lot of money. We've never had money to waste. So we got to work using the ULI recommendations in this book to build the foundation for a new economy along the Atchafalaya River. And we hope that when you leave today, you agree that the $135,000 has not been wasted. So we began meeting with our local interest group, mayors, parish president, levee district, port, non-government entities, and more. Nothing happens fast, and if we wanted to move forward, we needed to prioritize the goals in the Urban Land Institute report and the steps to accomplish those goals. We started with Mayors Booger-Zaffe and Lewis Ratcliffe, and now we're working with Mayors Duval Arthur and Lee Dragna. Politicians are elected to office, and then they leave office. But we are all still here, and we need to continue to work towards the goal. Today, we want to focus on a key recommendation on page 27 of the Urban Land Institute study that is of high interest to this audience and highlighted throughout the book. To increase economic resilience, Morgan City should continue to consider economic development approaches such as support for field-tested technological innovation and entrepreneurialism. Given the celebrated history of groundbreaking innovation and first-of-a-kind fabrication successes, Morgan City possesses the unique opportunity to develop and pilot projects in the emerging resilience technology space in the form of a coastal resilience laboratory. This is where the Atchafalaya Intracoastal Coalition can help, and I'll let Dr. Mancuso explain why and how.
Thank you. I'm pleased also to be here today. So it says Morgan City possesses the unique opportunity to develop pilot projects in the emerging resilience technology space in the form of a coastal resilience laboratory. Experts from around the U.S. came here and told us that our area has a history of groundbreaking innovation. We have first-of-a-kind fabrication successes. We here possess the ability to develop and pilot projects in resilience in the Coastal Resilience Laboratory. How would we do that? How do we get started? We weren't even sure we knew what resilience meant. So we had to educate ourselves and learn about resilience. The Urban Land Institute panel described resilience as the ability to prepare and plan for, absorb, recover from, and more successfully, how to adapt to adverse events. Well, we had some adverse events. I mean, economy and population decline, that's a pretty adverse event. So we had to do our homework. We searched what was already taking place in Resilience Lab planning. Well, there was quite a bit, and it was quite surprising. We found out that in 2012, 7 years before we even were up and running, 7 years before, Mayor Tim Mott began working on building materials and building codes, and that what their work was highlighted on the LSU website, on the Resilience website on LSU in 2012. In 2016, Mayor Frank Bugazafi attended a Coastal Community Resilience Program training in 2016, 3 years before we got started. And while he was there, he made connections with the LSU Coastal Sustainability Studio to come here and examine Morgan City. The Deltaic Research and Education Facility was conceptually designed in 2016. In 2016, those LSU students came here to the Atchafalaya River, and they designed a more resilient community for the year 2050. They were imagining what we should look like by 2050. And all of this is still available to see if you do your homework. Another search inquiry for a coastal resilience center is like, what are other states doing? Certainly somebody somewhere has one of these coastal resilience labs. Well, it took us to North Carolina. And if you dig a little deeper on there was an LSU professor that was listed as a contributing professor. Dr. Robert Twilley was listed on a North Carolina Coastal Resilience Center, up and operational. And he, as we found out, has been coming to St. Mary Parish for 30 years, specifically at the Wax Lake Delta. And we appreciate Bill Decker, our review reporter, for reporting that. But he's been coming here. He reported that back in 2019 while we were just getting ready to begin. So what did we do? Well, it was like, it's nice for us to know, but it's more important that this local interest group. So we kind of took off and we had a little subcommittee because we had to share what we had learned from doing our homework. COVID necessitated Zoom meetings because it's, everything shut down. So we reached out to Dr. Twilley. We connected him and the LSU Coastal Sustainability Studio to find out how Morgan City would look with a resilience lab. Beginning in 2019, we Zoomed with the Governor's Resilience Office, the Water Institute, city and parish governmental leaders, some of you will see yourselves in here, the Levee District, and the Port, Zooming with Dr. Twilley and the LSU Coastal Sustainability Studio. Then, as we came out of COVID, we were able to resume meeting in person, and we were very pleased that the Nichols Coastal Program Manager, Jenny Scheck-Snyder, her presence at the meeting was able to show her how we were collectively coming together to build the foundation, as we had been tasked with, for a new economy along the Atchafalaya River here. These discussions continue to guide our work, and in the middle of seeking a resilience lab, we learn that the Atchafalaya was in consideration to become an estuarine research reserve. St. Mary Exo was able to focus on the importance of the mission even as politicians' terms of office were ending. Mayor Grazafi having to turn over the leadership to Mayor Dragna. We kept the focus on our goal, not the people in charge. And as the Atchafalaya Reserve selection process took place, we involved our state leaders and connected them with Dr. Twilley, who had initiated the Louisiana effort to secure a reserve for the state. We never had a guarantee that our area would be selected. The competition was fierce. However, Being prepared for our public meetings went a long way in getting the Atchafalaya Reserve named. There were initially 6 areas in consideration. It was narrowed to 3 finalists: Terrebonne Barataria, Pontchartrain, and us. None of the people in those communities showed up to their public meetings like the people here did, like you did. Some fishermen even spoke against a reserve being located in their area. We were prepared because we had been coming together and readying ourselves for economic diversification along the Atchafalaya River since 2019. XL members Kelly Boudreau and Margaret Theriault took the reserve information to public bodies for resolutions of support. We created color sheets for students so they would know what's going on. We used social media, and we designed T-shirts to educate and engage our community. The LUMCON director and the future lead agency of the Atchafalaya Reserve, Dr. Brian Roberts, emphasized this participation when he accepted his position of leadership of the Atchafalaya Reserve. This is what he said. I gave a town hall meeting in Morgan City. It was during the pandemic, and we had to keep bringing more and more chairs in. We had 250 people that showed up, plus there was another 150 online, because people there were so interested and engaged in having this near. Over 400 letters of support made it to the governor's desk. This enthusiasm from our community tipped the scales in our favor, and the Atchafalaya Zone was named the final choice for designation. Here, Louisiana's search ended with the Atchafalaya Reserve being selected. On April 15th of this year, St. Mary XL and the Atchafalaya Intracoastal Coalition partnered together to celebrate our Atchafalaya River and its importance. We hosted a photo opportunity on the very top of the river. We invited multiple university presidents, coastal center directors, and research leaders on Saturdays to stand atop the river with AIC and St. Mary XL in what was a historical show of support for the Atchafalaya National Estuarine Research Reserve. We would now have a stationary research presence in the Atchafalaya. On Saturday, May 13th, rain kept us off the bridge, but we still met in Berwick under the bridge for some more historical picture taking. More than one day, more than one opportunity. The Atchafalaya Estuarine Research Reserve is awaiting NOAA's final submission to Governor John Bell Edwards to be signed at the end of this year or beginning in 2024. We can't wait for that to happen. We will begin to reach out to create a Friends of the Near program for what we will call just simply the Atchafalaya Reserve. And we will be watching for a draft management plan. In fact, this draft management plan should be coming out, I would estimate, in the next month or so. And it will outline the first 5 years of operation, where it's called a draft. And when it comes out, we're hoping we will all review it in earnest and we will make comments. So as we create a friends group to raise money, and as we wait for the draft management plan, it's important that we follow what's going on. So we ask, who are our friends? Who wants to come here to the Atchafalaya, where the Atchafalaya is? Many people had other engagements on the Saturdays when they were invited, and only 2 non-St. Mary Parish people showed, and they are pictured on this slide. And they have been showing their support for our Atchafalaya projects with their commitment. Many of you who were on the bridge, you met Dr. Robert Twilley when he ran up amid multiple personal commitments, as we all had that Saturday. He ran up the bridge to take his picture with us. And that's how we want people to feel about this area. We want them to run here. And why does everyone want a reserve? Well, besides the fact that we live here, it's going to help us protect our area, it's also the economic impact. Ecotourism equals learning about the Delta. Researching on the Delta provides jobs that will return our children back here for employment. We have included a handout that's available at your table that highlights the economic impact. So why does everyone want to be associated with the reserve? Obviously, funds will be dedicated, and we appreciate the senator working to make sure that the local match was there. Obviously, funds will be dedicated to advance this Atchafalaya need, but we need to focus on the place. We need to focus on the place that offers the strongest science as we move into the national spotlight, because they're going to be watching us, and they're going to be learned folks that are going to be examining how we roll this out. We need to focus on building the economy along the river in our community, not using it to build the economy elsewhere. It is our time, and the people here were the ones wanting this. On June 14th, LumCon Director Brian Roberts was told that he would be responsible to bring all of the universities in the consortium to collaborate. At that same meeting, St. Mary XL provided a comment that was read into the CPRA record for us by board member Bill Hidalgo. St. Mary XL encouraged the LSU College of the Coast and Environment and the LSU Civil Environmental Engineering Department to take a prominent place under LSU's membership within LumCon for the purpose of preserving and advancing a complete river delta system to the nation, and from its inception for the location to be here. ULI told us to build the economy along the Atchafalaya River, and those of you who were atop of the bridge on April 15th heard Senator Allen when he said we would have a facility here. Thank you, Senator. So why would we make a comment about LSU? Well, we had done our homework. We looked at the PowerPoint this weekend, and we inserted one additional slide, and it's shown up here. How many of you before this presentation knew that Dr. Twilley had conducted 30 years of deltaic research at Wax Lake in St. Mary Parish? How many of you knew that in 2004, between Governor Foster and Governor Blanco's terms of office, that St. Mary Parish was legislatively designated as the gateway to the Atchafalaya Basin? How many of you knew that LSU already has a Deltaic Research Institute? How many of you knew that LSU has been conducting crawfish studies through its LSU Ag Center? See the picture on the slide of Morgan City native Dr. Robert Romer. Yeah, there's more Romers that are quite notorious. And this is Robert. He is approximately my age. He's a Bellinger Street boy. That's where he grew up. He went to Morgan City High, and he has been studying crawfish and teaching about crawfish at LSU for an entire lifetime. How many of the people in the nation recognize that engineering will have a significant impact on the Atchafalaya Delta and Basin? LSU has a highly recognized engineering department. For the Atchafalaya, the presence of the reserve is a big deal. It's highly significant. We have not had the resources of other areas. With a prominent presence of a university such as LSU, known for its delta and basin research, all of which make a complete river system, we will have the science to match a facility. We will be easily recognized within LumCon's framework, because after you have it, you got to market it to the rest of the nation. You got to market it. And when you have the right tool to market, then you're going to bring people here. When you bring people here, that's going to increase the ecotourism. That's going to be the indirect jobs. If you have to really figure out how you market it with, less than what you have as a complete river system, it's not just going to be the right fit. So all of the universities will be brought to the table, hopefully to work here with LSU, not in a laboratory away from the river. And so based on our homework, we thought it only proper but necessary to make our comments in a public forum in front of you and in front of the community. We appreciate this being broadcast today. Back to our handout and back to how we continue to work on building the economy along the river by focusing on the issues. We're not done. Even with the reserve designation, resilience is still needed because a complete river system involves riverine sedimentation. We are left with sandbars that children play on in the middle of the Atchafalaya River in a shipping channel we depend on. That sedimentation allowed marsh grasses to grow right on our Morgan City dock. We deal with the challenges of the river, which drains 30% of the continental United States every day. Resilience is still needed because a complete river system involves riverine flooding as it did during 2019-20. There was about 500 days when we had to deal with a flooded river, a swollen river, I'll call it, when workers had to climb levees to access work. Our local businesses had to build berms to keep workplaces dry. Temporary signage was used, when storms threaten. So resilience is still needed because our complete river system depends upon river dredging, which can only be scheduled when our port officials secure funding. And that funding is never guaranteed. Now the spotlight will be on us because resilience is really needed as we plan for, absorb, and recover from adverse events. All areas in our state have their problems, and we have our own unique problems that need to be addressed right here. These photos were taken 70 miles apart on a Saturday morning when everyone working had gone home from the one agency. And you can see what Morgan City was dealing with at that time. We need the resources and the facilities within the impacted area. Our resilience lab must be here in the impacted area, where those innovations will lead to a more vibrant and resilient community. And then I'm going to let Catherine tell you how you can get to help.
And this is where your help is really needed. The St. Mary Parish Council has dedicated money from the Restore Act, the Deepwater Horizon funds, that will allow the Water Institute of the Gulf to work with us in defining how the Resilience Lab will be developed. Riverine resilience, energy resilience, industry and technology resilience. And we are hoping that the Atchafalaya Intracoastal Coalition will be primary participants in shaping the Resilience Lab. University partners can help us in their area of resilience expertise, but you are the people who work with the Atchafalaya River, and you can identify what is needed for a vibrant economy. You, AIC, have just organized, and we need your voices at the table. We appreciate your attendance at the last two local interest group meetings, and we look forward to building the foundation of a new economy along the Atchafalaya River with your guidance and input. The Resilience Lab will locate in Morgan City on the Atchafalaya River, and with it we will see a more resilient St. Mary Parish. And finally, at a recent AIC meeting, you heard former CPRA Director Chip Klein mention the Atchafalaya Coastal Studies and Maritime Academy that we are working to locate here. The economic and educational impact of this school, along with the Atchafalaya NEAR, would be phenomenal for the area. The academy would be a residential high school that would address the coastal workforce skill gap and engage students from across the state with Louisiana's coast and the Atchafalaya Reserve. Here and in the booklet, you can see the economic impact on the community such an academy would have. Monica has explained the importance of the Resilience Lab and how you can help. We've included other projects that we've spearheaded in the rest of the booklet. Specific goals of improving our area include projects focused on health and wellness, such as hiking and biking trails, neighborhood revitalization, and business development. These were all inspired or reinforced by the ULI study. That's your homework. Take the handouts home, look through them further, and if you need any more information, you can access the information and more on, we have a YouTube site and our website, and you can see Gerard and you can see Mayor Tim Mott on that channel as well. Our work is just beginning. We need to get our house in order. We need to demand that our leaders work for us, and we've been very lucky because we've had leaders, we have them sitting right here at our tables. They have worked for us and through us. Many of you remember, oh no, maybe you don't. How many of you do remember the bumper stickers from the 80s that mocked the area with, will the last person leaving insert Morgan City, we could insert other cities. I actually found one, a big billboard that Seattle had put out in the 1970s. Turn out the lights. Every city in this country has had its challenges and can say that at one time or another, this bumper sticker applied to them. What they chose to do next was the decision that shaped their future. We didn't turn out the lights then, and now a spotlight is shining on us. Let's keep the spotlight focused here on the Atchafalaya River, where it belongs. Thank you. So some of you might have some questions that we can address or not, or and Ms. Mancuso, if they do, come up here. That's it? All right, great. Thank you all. Thank you.
Well, all I can say is wow. It's a big wow for what you all have done the last few years. And we at AIC we're humbled that you have asked us to be part of this group. Not that we asked you to come here, but you ask us to be part of your group. And we want to help. This is important to our community. And we will help. I know, let me give you one example quickly. In our board meeting today, we talked about 4 items that AIC is working on right now. And these are, Mr. Bill Hidalgo made a comment. He said, you know, if it wasn't for this group organizing again, we wouldn't be working on these 4 very important items for the community. One of them was a request by Rotary to help them gather some information about the needs for the school here in Morgan City and some of the scholarship programs they may have. So we're working together, and I think that's important that we're finding, and this is very important for us. So thank you very, very much. And Monica and Catherine, we can't, you know, it's great. And next month, we'll have Congressman Clay Higgins will come and speak to us. Thank you very, very much.